welcome to Trimester 1 for beginners, workout number 3. So prenatal workout, Trimester 1, beginner workout number 3. What you're going to need for today's workout are the following. Definitely need a chair, so please have a stable chair nearby. For your weights, a couple of moves that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a sumo squat. So what a sumo squat looks like, we did this in workout 2, so we'll review it again today. Sumo squat, toes pointed out, chest up, shoulders back, and lifting up an object up and down from the ground in that sumo type position, or that plie type position. So what I've got here is a 20-pound dumbbell. You could do that. If you don't have access to weights at home, your options then are, you could find a couple of things at home that weigh somewhere between 12 and 20 pounds. So probably the combination of 3 things like this. So I've got 2 laundry detergent bottles and a big salsa bottle here. That could probably equate to being able to allow you to work with a little bit of a load. So there's an option there. Be creative if you don't have weights available. Or the other thing you could do, if from a previous pregnancy, or if you're really organized and you've already got a baby basket, you could use something like this and fill it up with a couple of objects. I've got some V8 juice and I'll put the salsa in. Limitation of this is you won't be able to go as deep in the movement. However, for some of you, if you are a beginner, that might be as low as you want to go anyways. And it's very functional. So that's one option. So then the other thing that you are going to need is another, somewhere between a 10 to 12 pound dumbbell. If you don't have that, what I will be using is I will be using a couple of these guys. And we're going to be doing a single arm bench row in today's workout. So that's going to be a new movement. Most of our exercises are progressing from workout number 1 and number 2, and I'm going to throw in a couple new exercises for you as well. So some exercises will be exactly the same, some will be the same but a progression of, and then there'll be some brand new exercises. So get near your chair, and as a part of your warm-up, we're going to start with 10 squats, 10 chair squats. So if you don't need to squat right down to your chair, you don't have to. If you do feel more comfortable sitting right down to your chair, you can. I want you to cue in to good tall posture, straight from the shoulders to the hips. And we're just doing 10 of those. Pushing up through the heels. Let's think about that glute and hamstring recruitment as we come up. So squeezing glutes and hammies. 2 more here. And last one. Good. And then turn an imaginary line on the ground. I want you to step forward and back, right foot lead 10 times. 6, 7, as quickly or as not so quick as you feel you need to ease into the warm-up. And left foot lead now, left foot. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's try another 10 squats. This time, if you want to, option here would be to do them with your hands up by your head, or that's a little bit trickier, so if you want, feel free to keep your hands right in front of you, whatever feels comfortable. 3, core nice and tight, glute hamstring to come up. So think a little bit of a pelvic thrust to come up. Double check, knees are staying behind the toes. Your knees are in line with your second toe, weight evenly distributed through your left and right feet. Last one here. Excellent. Okay, let's take it into a little bit of a dynamic stretch. So you can use that chair for assistance if you want. Get down into a kneeling position. Shift your back leg back far enough so that what I'm feeling here, when I shift my hips forward, my knee is still behind this front toe, and I'm feeling a nice pull in the back hip. If I'm stable enough, what I'm going to do is set my weight through the front leg. I'm going to lift up 5 times. Now if you find the stability is difficult there, pull the chair close by, and you can do just one hand lifted with the other hand assisted on the chair. Your choice. Good. Getting a nice stretch. Hold, and we're aiming for a good stretch through here, but staying tall. We're not arching deep through that back. And now put your hands on the ground on either side of that leg, chest on that thigh, lift up that back knee, bring it back an inch or 2. Keep your chest on that front leg and reach your hips back, getting a nice stretch through that front hamstring, and hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands on the inside of the leg, swing your leg around, and let's switch to the other side. Again, place your legs far enough apart so that when I shift my hips forward, my knee is still behind this front toe. So what I mean by that, double check you're not in that position. So my front foot is forward far enough, and then when I shift my hips forward, I feel a nice pull in that back hip. And from here, option, lift, hand on the chair, or ideally, if you have the stability, you're working up. Balancing. For some of you, you may feel you want to stop the video and just get a nice padding, an extra padding underneath the knee. Do what feels comfortable and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands on either side of that front foot. Bring that back knee back. Keeping the chest close to the thigh, shift your hips back and hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands come on the inside of your leg. Shift back, tuck your toes under. Slowly round up one vertebrae at a time. Let's do another set of 10 squats. Hands again, option here or here. Let's have everyone try this time. Just brush your bum. Try not to actually take a seat. But the chair reminds us to push our hips backwards. Good. 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, taking it to, I'm going to give you an option here. Option A, dynamic glute stretch, seated on the chair, up nice and tall, and hinging forward. So keeping it a little bit dynamic. So there's your option A. Make sure you do about 10 to 12 on each side. Option B, if you can work on your stability, your balance a little bit more, you're using that chair, and we're doing a little glute stretch, little tiny run at the back, switch legs. Little glute stretch, tiny run. So when I cross my leg over top, I get a nice stretch, this time on my right butt cheek, little run, and then on my left butt cheek. Little run. So a little run, steps, doesn't matter how many, as long as you end up on the opposite side. So it's got to be somewhere between 3 and 5 little shuffles there. And little shuffle. Good. Little shuffle. Excellent. Okay, now what I would like you to do, standing behind your chair, balancing on your chair, I want you to get a nice support on one foot, core nice and tight. I want you to hinge at your hips. Keep this leg relatively straight. Keep your hips square to the ground, hinging down until you feel a nice pull in this hamstring, and pop back up. Hands go down to balance, reach, pop back up. Try to just move right from the hip hinge. So if you notice, I'm just moving from the hinge. When I'm focusing on coming back up, I think squeeze through the glutes and hamstrings to come back up. I'm going to try one more of those. So working on balance, hamstring flexibility, and then glute ham activation when we come up. Switch over to the other side. So establish balance, weight through my left heel, hinge forward, hips nice and square, hold, 3, 2, 1, and squeeze to come back up. Double check. When I say hips square, what I mean is I don't have the hips open like that, but both my hips are pointing towards the ground. And come back up. If you have too much of a bend in the support leg, you won't feel the stretch. If you're really tight in your hamstrings, then don't go quite so deep. If you're relatively flexible, you can aim for keeping your chest parallel to the ground. One more of those. And reach. Good. And shake it out. Okay. Let's move on to our first core activation. Okay, so with this core activation, what we're doing is we're just taking the basic movement that we've done and we're just making it just a tiny bit harder. So a review from workout 1 and workout 2, the main cues that I used, little grape underneath your back. So you press into that grape gently, but don't crush it. Draw the belly button in, shoulders open, and then fire the kegel. Let's just do a practice set. Go 5, 4, focusing on the kegel, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Double check. Make sure when you do that, your glutes stay relaxed in this case. Ready, draw the belly button in, kegel, little grape, pressing underneath your back, chest is open, firing that kegel, hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Okay, so very important, working on those kegels throughout your pregnancy, but knowing how to both turn them on and relax them. During your actual labor, it will be important to be able to relax those kegels. So you don't want to be holding a kegel 24/7, but you want them strong, able to turn on, but then also relax. That's why we work on the turning on, turning off. So belly button in tight, kegel, little grape underneath your back. Holding that, what I want you to do is to lift one leg up. We'll go right leg, and then extend along the ground. Lift up, extend. We're going to do 5 of those. 3. How's your kegel? Still firing the kegel? 4. The lower your foot is to the ground, the harder it is to maintain that good core activation. And relax, turn off the kegel, relax everything. Make sure you're breathing throughout, so let's really focus on breathing as you're doing this. So fire the kegel, belly button in tight, little pressure of the grape underneath your back, left foot, lift and reach. So if you can't quite do it well with that reach, go ahead and just lift and push the leg up a little bit higher. So that's your option. Down low is a little bit harder. Last one here. Switch over to the other side. Everything relaxes. Okay, this time what I want you to focus on, let's mainly focus on the kegel and breathing. So those are the only 2 things I want you to think of in this set. So fire that kegel, lift the leg up, and make sure you're breathing. Inhaling and exhaling throughout here. You can exhale, inhale back. Exhale, try to keep the kegel engaged even throughout that breathing. Inhale, come back up. And switch legs, but first relax everything in between. Let's try that again. So all I want you to cue in on is the kegel and the breath. Here we go. Lift the leg, inhale. Fire the kegel, exhale. Inhale. Inhale. Still thinking about the kegel. Flip over on all 4s. And let's just relax everything and then set the belly button, fire the kegel. From this position we worked, last workout we worked just extending the leg. Today what I'm going to have you do is try to do a Superman. So that's, let me just move my chair and move forward. We're going to do opposite arm, opposite leg. Hold and switch. Hold and switch. Firing that kegel. I'm going to try 12 of these. When I reach my arm and opposite leg, I'm only aiming to reach them to the height of my body. Just to the height of my body. 6. Nice and slow and controlled. 7. You do not get bonus points for doing this fast. 8. 9. 10, keep drawing that belly button in, firing that kegel. 11 and 12. Okay, moving on. We're doing our push press. So this is important for postural stability. What I want you to do, I'd encourage you to find a mirror and do this in front of the mirror and compare what I look like compared to what you look like. You want your shoulders right over top of your hands, hips right over top of your knees. I want you to allow your shoulder blades to collapse together. So I introduced this in the last video. When I say collapse together, the shoulder blades do this. When I say push out of the heels of your hands, you should feel your shoulder blades separate. So I let my shoulder blades collapse. Now locking out my elbows, just moving from the shoulder girdle, I push out of the heels of my hands, trying to imagine that I'm flattening my upper back up against the ceiling. And drop. And push. Try to limit the involvement of your neck. And push. And drop. Lock out the elbows and push. And 2 more. Drop. And push. And drop. and push. Hold that push. Double check that you're not pushing so high that you're rounding. So assuming you're just, one more time, let's do the collapse and push. Assuming you're just at the top of the lift, shift your hips back ever so slightly. Maintain that push, okay? Now from here, what I want you to do is to let the elbows fan out and come back up. Maintain that push. Try to feel those shoulder blades separate. And what I'm tricking you into doing here is some push-ups with very good postural control. So here's a good push-up that I'm doing right here, a good push-up from the knees, as opposed to collapsing through the shoulder blades. Did you see what I did there? So you got to push out of the heels of your hands, and we're doing small little push-ups. Let's just try 2 more. And last one. Good. Okay. From here, what I would like you to do is stop the video. I want you to repeat that set 1 more time, if you have time. Ideally, you do have time to do 1 more set. If not, let's move on to our next series. Okay, so our next series combines a little bit of movement education with glute hamstring loading. So let's get on your back, and we're going to be doing a single leg hip bridge today. So in this case, even though I'm going to get you to fire your core, I do want your glutes and hamstrings squeeze tight. So from here, what I want you to do is you're going to set the kegel, draw the belly button in, squeeze through the back of your legs to lift up, and then what I want you to do is to try and lift one leg off the ground. You're going to keep it bent. From here, drop your hips back down to the ground, squeeze back up. So this is a single leg hip bridge. If you find that this is too tricky or you feel any discomfort in your low back, please, 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 I want you to go back to a double leg hamstring bridge. If you can, continue. We're going to try 12 repetitions a side. So your options are 12 to 20 double leg hamstring bridges, or trying 10 to 12 a side single leg hamstring press. So what we're trying to do is to pre-fatigue or pre-activate the glutes and hamstrings. 1 more on this side. And then we're going to do your second progression of the deadlift. So core set, double leg bridge, lift the left leg, keep the knee bent, squeezing glute and hamstring, 12 repetitions, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remember this feeling of these guys working. 8. Try to not push through your quad, but squeeze glutes and hamstrings to lift. Last one here. Okay, movement education. Why this is important is you need to know how to go through a flat spine. So let's just do a quick few cat-cows. So that's just moving through the range of motion of your spine. I encourage you to do this in front of a mirror if need be. So those are my 2 extreme arch and then extreme curl. Find flat back right in between. So if you're asked and I say try to get a nice flat back from shoulder to hip, you know exactly how to find that. Remember that flat back position. From here you're standing up. We're going to combine glute hamstring activation and that nice flat back position. So soften the knees, core tight, hands behind the head. I want you to hinge forward through the hips with a flat back. So here's my hip hinge, so you're not here. Double check, you're in that nice flat back. From here, I want you to pretend, sounds funny, there's a toonie in between your cheeks. Squeeze the toonie, try to squeeze your glutes and hamstrings to come back up. So this is a deadlift progression. We've done this from the knees. Now we're doing this from standing position. So with a flat back, you hinge forward just far enough until you start to feel your hamstrings on stretch. Then squeeze glutes and hammies, pull the body back up. We're trying to teach the body to use glutes and hamstrings to come back up instead of using your low back. So eventually we'll do this with a little bit of load. But right now we're just learning how to A, activate glutes and hamstrings, B, have a nice tight, a nice line from shoulders to hips. It's a mental exercise because you've actively got to recruit glutes and hamstrings. Pull the belly button in tight. Last one here. And squeeze to come back up. Okay, Stop the video. I want you to go back and repeat that sequence. So the single leg hip bridge or double leg, your choice. A couple of cat-cows, and then right into the double leg deadlift progression. Next series of 2 exercises. We're going to need whatever weight you're choosing to use for the sumo squat. So at the beginning of the video, I suggested you could either use a dumbbell, you could use some laundry detergent, setup, something that's going to be somewhere between 12 and 20 pounds. I'm going to demo a few repetitions with my dumbbell, and then I'll grab my baby carriage and show you that. So with this one, this is a review from workout 2. Toes are slightly angled out, chest is up, belly button in nice and tight. I squat down, pushing my knees out in line with the second toe, down to the position where I can grasp onto that weight without rounding through that back. So from the side, I'm plieing down as low as I can so I can pick up that weight with good posture. As you recall, the cue that I want you to think about is to squeeze a humongous beach ball between the legs to come back up. Squeeze to come back up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, take it over to the wall, and you're going to do wall flatteners. So I'm going to give you 2 options here. If your shoulders can handle it, I want you to try a wall flattener. So that's knees slightly bent, belly button in tight, arms at 90 degrees, trying to press the back of the wrist into the wall, and you're sliding up and down. Sliding up and down. Keep pushing the backs of your wrists into the wall. Keep low back contact with the wall. If you find that too challenging or there's any pinching or irritation in the shoulders, go back to external shoulder rotations. So we've done that in other workouts. Still very effective postural exercise. You remember, with this one, you need to keep your elbows tucked in close to the body. Good. Whichever variation you choose, either wall flatteners or wall external shoulder rotations, aim for 12 to 15 repetitions. Low back pressed against the wall, shoulders are open. And I think I've got about 2 more repetitions. Okay, go back and repeat that sequence. If you can, at least another 1 time, maybe 2 times. I'm just going to demo quickly, if you don't have access to that dumbbell, what it would look like if you were doing it with a baby carriage. So from here, same thing, toes are out, shoulders down and back. I'm in a good sumo squat position. Bend my arms a little bit, keep that carriage close to the body. If you have the weight here, it puts more strain through the back. So nice and close to the body. Going as deep as you comfortably can. If it feels too easy, then you can load that up with a little bit more weight. So you notice I'm keeping a slight bend in my elbows. That's because with this, if I don't, the range of motion is just too small. So what I do is I keep the load close to the body and I bend my elbows a little bit. So I'm working my arms a little bit there as well. Don't forget, actively squeeze that beach ball. Actively squeeze that beach ball. Last, let's call it 3, 2, and last one. And superset that with your wall flatteners or wall external shoulder rotations. So your final series, lots of little mini supersets in this workout. It's going to be on the chair. So another variation of the deadlift here. This will require a little bit of balance. What you want to do is you're going to, once again, focus on that hip hinge. I want you to step forward with 1 foot. I want you to put the other foot on the chair. That's there for a little bit of extra support, but this is your main leg that you're focusing on. If you find this one too tricky with the balance, feel free to just go to the second exercise. It's one that I'd like you to be able to work up to, but depending on how quickly you're speeding through these videos, and depending on what your single leg stability is, you may find this one pretty tricky. Once again, hands behind the head. What you're going to do is you're going to hip hinge and then squeeze back up. Now, if you notice what happened there, the chair just flipped back a little bit. So you do want to position the chair far enough back so that it just gives you an extra point contact of stability. So you don't want it so far underneath you that the chair flips back, obviously. So you're hinging forward, squeeze through the glute and hamstring to come back up. If you find it confuses you to have your hands behind your head, you can either have your hands at the side or across the body. Now what you should find, or at the hips, what you should find, if you're able to do this with a good hip hinge and truly just isolating through that hip, pretty soon this glute and hamstring is going to start working a little bit. Hip hinge, squeeze glute and hamstring to come back up. We're going to aim for 10 aside. 8, 2 more. Last one. And 10. Take it over to the other side. So balancing on one leg. So back foot up on the back chair, belly button in nice and tight. Hip hinge forward, squeeze through the right glute and hamstring to come back up. Hip hinge, squeeze to come back up. Hands out to the side, hands on the hips, wherever you feel comfortable. Slight bend in the support leg. And squeeze to come back up. Hinging down, squeeze to come back up. 5, going for 10. 6, option hands on your head, that's a little bit trickier. 8, 9. Did I skip a number there? Better do one extra just in case. Last one here. Oh, my glute and hamstring's working. There we go. Doesn't take much. Now, if you feel your low back at all and you need just a little bit of a break, have a seat on the chair, hinge forward, and just let your head dangle and give your low back a little bit of a stretch here. And then just reach over to one side and reach over to the other side. Okay, once again, you understand here why it's so important for you to be able to become aware through the spine and understand curved versus flat back. You're going to grab your 10 to 12 pound dumbbell, or in my case, my double laundry detergent setup here, and we're doing a single arm row. So I would like you to kneel, left knee on the bench or chair, left hand at the front, right knee is down and extended, right arm is down and extended, belly button in nice and tight. Find that flat back. So if you need to do a couple of cat-cows, modified cat-cows there in this position, go ahead. And then we're doing a single arm row. The path of the weight is up that back thigh. Once again, really encourage you to get somebody to watch your form, give you some cues, and or very least do this in front of the mirror. Check out your form. Doing 12 reps. 10, 11, and 12. Coming up, over to the other side. Once again, switching hands. Right knee at the very back of the chair. Left knee, or left leg forward, knee slightly bent. And right hand supports. Find that neutral spine, that nice flat back, and single arm row. 12 reps. 4. Really think squeezing through the shoulder blades to pull. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, last one, 12. Great job. And if you have time, repeat that one more time. If you only have time to do one set of every exercise, great, no problem. I did a lot of variations of different movements working similar muscle groups. So at the very least, you do one set of everything, you're still going to get a great workout. I would like you to go into a straddle stretch for your final stretches. So open your legs up as far as feels comfortable. In that sumo squat, we were working the adductors, and this will be a nice stretch for that. From here, your choice. If you feel a stretch, that's where you're going to stay. If you can, or you feel comfortable, you can bring your body forward just a little bit further forward. You can drop your head, whatever feels comfortable. For a lot of you, that may be as deep as you can go, but if relaxing is kicking in, you might be able to be going a little bit further. And hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another variation of the adductor, and that will also hit the low back. Even though we are trying to make the glute and hamstring complex work over the low back is still obviously doing some work in there. So what I want you to do is a wide diamond stretch. What I mean by that, instead of bringing those feet in really close, slide those feet out a little bit further, grasp gently onto the ankles. And what I want you to do is to think about rounding through the body and bringing the forehead towards the ankles. As I'm doing that, I'm gently using my elbows to fan out my knees. And I find this is a nice stretch through the low back. As well, it gets a little bit into the glutes, the piriformis, ever so slightly. As long as you're not really yarding on your ankles, if you want to increase that stretch, if you gently pull through your toes and now kind of pull the body forward, that can also accentuate the stretch through the low back. It's going to be a subtle stretch. Don't overdo it. As soon as you feel just a gentle stretch, just relax and hold it there. 3, 2, 1, and release. And I would like you to go into a figure 4 stretch. So that's one leg extended and reach to the extended leg. You may just be able to reach maybe about shin level. If you can reach all the way to your toes, great. And hold. Here I'm really working on relaxing this leg. You're going to feel it back of the hamstring. Some of you will feel it in the QL on the right side of the back. And switch over to the other side. Figure 4 stretch. Again, where you place this inside foot really doesn't matter, wherever feels comfortable, at slightly above or slightly below knee level. Drop the head, reach down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cross the left leg over the right. Sit up nice and tall. Hug the knee towards the opposite shoulder. Getting a stretch in the glute muscle here. And hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and switch. Sitting up tall, hug knee to the opposite side. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 more stretches to go. We've got hip flexor stretch. So find a good kneeling position. Shoelaces turned down in this case, and I want you to make sure this knee is behind that front toe, actively pushing the shoelace into the ground. Hold 5, 4, nice stretch through this hip flexor. 3, 2, 1, and release. And over to the other side. Switching the feet. Shoelaces pushing in again. Not quite holding these stretches as long as I would like you to. If you can, stop the video and hold each for a good long minute would be fantastic. I'm going to eventually put together a good prenatal stretching video that's more comprehensive. 3, 2, 1, and slowly get back up. Last but not least, just a single arm stretch. Option A, up here or down low. Getting a nice chest stretch up against the wall. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and switch over to the other side. Great job. And hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down low. Option. And thank you so much. And we'll see you next time for workout number 4. I encourage you to do that workout number 3 at least 3 times. 3 times before you move on, just to get comfortable with those movements, 2 to 3 times for sure. And we'll see you for the next workout.